Welcome back to another episode of The Canon, where I bring you the latest in comic book and superhero movie news. I'm your host, Terry, and I'm ready to bring you the stuff that matters. But before I get started, just want to remind you, if you want to go to the description box, you can skip around different topics that interest you if you don't want to watch the full video. But first up in the news, we got the maestro behind the Avengers himself, Joss Whedon, is reportedly in talks to write, produce, and direct a Batgirl movie for the DCU. So, we got Joss Whedon in talks. Just again, it's not confirmed. But as far as the idea of him actually signing on to this project, I'm going to very slightly keep it. And I mean very slightly. I'm almost dead split down the middle. The thing I'll say is that I'm really cool with Joss Whedon. I think he's got a lot of talent. I really love what he did with the Avengers. I love what he did with Age of Ultron. Even though I don't think that movie was that great. If you've seen the behind the scenes and you heard the set visits and everything, you know Disney/Marvel really worked him over and kind of screwed him out of the movie he wanted to make. But listening to the ideas of what he wanted to do and how much he put into it and how he had enough courage to walk away from Marvel after that, saying, you know, I had a good time, he took the high road, but I want to do something different. And then he, of course, is behind Serenity and Firefly. I've never seen them, but I know the huge cult following that has. So I really appreciate people that have created properties that have cult followings, because they're kind of like true fan type directors. But everything with Whedon is cool. Most people might know he wrote a Wonder Woman script back in the day, tried to get that movie made, but a lot of people praise him for his work with female characters. The problem I have is with the Batgirl side of it. I don't know we need a Batgirl movie, just like I don't know we need a Nightwing movie, or that we need a Gotham City Sirens movie. I still think in the middle of them trying to figure out what the DCU is, adding all these new projects is the bad way to go, because you haven't really stuck to the slate you laid out. And then even with the movies that you are still working with, nothing's been in motion. The only thing that's really in motion is Aquaman. We know the Flash they haven't reset the date, still don't have a director, all that good stuff. So I don't know that all these random new movies mean something, because these movies that we first were put on the slate were ones I wanted to see. And I think adding in a Batman movie was fine. Adding in a Man of Steel 2 was fine. But now all this other random stuff, and possibly Teen Titans, and you add in Deathstroke, took him out. So I don't know. I think all that's too much. And the way to really make quality movies is to probably pare it down a little bit and focus on the projects you do have. And I don't really want a Batgirl movie. I don't know we need movies of all these auxiliary characters around Batman. Now, this goes to the narrative of Ben Affleck might be leaving. And I've seen people online crying, they need to stop talking about that. It's not confirmed. We know it's not confirmed, but the writing is on the wall. They're like completely redoing something behind the scenes, and everything has to do with Batman. So it seems like they're really trying to configure a way to move on without the actual Bruce Wayne Batman. And I don't like that either. But WB is going for it. You got Mel Gibson is in their radars. We hear Matthew Vaughn is in their radar. They got Matt Reeves. If they get Joss Whedon, and it's already started, but I can't wait for the fanboy clash, because I already kind of see it where Marvel people are trying to say crap about this move, but they can't really. So it's more like, oh, I'm going to go see it because it's Joss Whedon. Otherwise, I would never go see a DC movie. Like that crap. Get out of here. And then the DC fanboys are trying to figure out a way to accept a Marvel person without praising the movies he did. So it's ridiculous, but it's pretty fun. So this is the first major crossing of the lines. We hear Mike Shannon might be in Deadpool, but that's Fox. And we got small characters. Chris Evans was with Fox and then went with Marvel. Small things like that. Like I said, the guy, I'm blanking on his name, that played Trask for the X-Men might be crossing over to Marvel. And so now this is one of the big ones, and it's not an actor, it's a director, and he's going to be writing too. So the guy that really held the biggest movie of the MCU is now coming, or possibly coming to DC. So big news. I'm not sure the project I'm in love with, but I like it. One thing I like, or might not have liked, we had a Spider-Man Homecoming trailer drop. So I'm going to do a quick, real review of that, and then we got some other news in the Spider-Man universe. So I was out on the road and everything when it dropped, so I now reacting. But I personally didn't like that trailer a lot. I think it was just okay. I had some serious problems with it. Number one, the CGI effects of when he's Spider-Man, I'm not liking. Like when it's not up close, it looks very fake. And I watched Civil War the other day, and I felt the same way where I'm like, I don't know exactly how much I like it. When they do close-up shots of actual Tom Holland wearing the suit, it looks fine. So I don't get why they're doing all this CG. I know they want to make the eyes, but even Deadpool was Ryan Reynolds. They just did the effects on the eyes. But this, you can tell certain shots they're doing full effects. So I don't really like that much. As far as the trailer, it told the whole story. A lot of people like, you show too much. Some people said show too much. It was the whole beat of the story. It was pretty much there. It's Spider-Man being low level, and that's they really emphasized it. Keep your nose to the street. Be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Don't worry about the big things. And then he wants to do more. Clearly, the Tinkerer released these weapons to the people that become the Shocker, that become Vulture, and all that. And Spider-Man tries to stop him, needs help from Iron Man, almost gets people killed, takes Spider-Man's suit away. Spider-Man has to learn who he is as a hero without the suit, which is weird because he has superpowers. He's not Tony Stark, where all his stuff really comes with the suit. He has super strength and all that. So the suit really just gives him his web blasters, and he can make those without that. So the suit is weird. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's the symbol that I'm official, but okay, whatever. He takes away the suit, so he goes back to ground level. He's like, okay, I can't tell Tony. I got to do this on my own to prove to myself. That's the movie. And similar beats that we've seen before, but you get the whole beat. I didn't think they were going the route of the disapproving mentor with Tony. So I feel like even though it's a beat we've seen before, if they would have waited for me to see that in the movie theater, I would have liked it. I would have enjoyed it for its movie. But now that I know that going in, it's like, okay, now I know exactly what I'm getting out of this movie. It's ridiculous. And I don't like what they did with the villains. I get it's Michael Keaton. You want him to be more relatable. You can tell I'm doing anything to protect my family. So they're changing stuff around to make these regular Joes that get weapons and are trying to do it for maybe the right reasons. I don't like that. They're changing too much. And then you can tell this MCU Sony deal really is, okay, don't make Spider-Man do too much because he can't upstage the Avengers. And he can't upstage what we do in the MCU. So that's what you really get out of it. And I don't think I don't know. He's not Daredevil. He's not Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, where it's like, hey, take care of your little area of the city, leave the rest to us. That's not who Spider-Man is. Spider-Man is one of the biggest characters. And so to force him down to fit within the MCU, I really don't like it. It's like, what's the point of watching this movie then? I might as well wait and see him team up. So I didn't like the trailer, man. I really didn't like it. I like some of the high school stuff and the comedy stuff. I like the little references like, oh, do you know Captain America? He's like, yeah, I stole his shit. I like all that. All the connective tissue. But other than that, I was not impressed. This I don't know. It's scary because Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was so mind-blowing because it was new, but it was also Spider-Man's world. This is like Spider-Man trying to play within the Avengers world. I don't like that. So, but anyway, the Spider-Man news came out. Basically, the former head person over at Sony, Amy Pascal, she was doing an interview at one of the cons, and they were asking about the deal in the future Spider-Man and MCU, and she was saying, they never really had a deal like this before with two studios, and that you might not ever see a deal like this again after the Homecoming sequel. So a lot of people went crazy and was like, whoa, did she drop a nugget? Like, the deal is done after the Homecoming sequel, and then her saying you might not see it again. Are they saying like Sony's out of this after that? So I'm going to sweep her comments, and this is why. So let's break it down. Tom Holland has 6 movies. 3 of them are appearances, and 3 of them are standalones. So we had Civil War, and we're going to have the 2 Infinity War movies. That's 3 appearances. We got Homecoming, we got a Homecoming sequel, and then possibly a trilogy. And we know they want to do like Harry Potter, so he's got those. That's his 6th deal. His 6th movie deal is with Sony. And so, of course, after the deal with Marvel ends, he would still be Sony's property. So it seems as if what she's saying is the Marvel and Sony deal ends after, I would say 5 movies, where he does his 3 appearances, and Marvel helps make 2 of his standalone movies. And so if that's the case, they could re-up after that, of course. But with her saying you might not see it again, some people might think, well, Sony hasn't had a good experience with Marvel. And some people think Sony had a real good experience, so they're like, hey, Spider-Man is up in there and popular. Let's leave Marvel. We don't need them anymore. So it's a lot of business. It's a lot of interesting things. And I've been telling people online, is like, everybody's like, how's Venom going to be his own thing? And how you going to have these Spider-Man movies with no Spider-Man? Spider-Man is owned by Sony. Just because he's in the MCU doesn't mean he can't be in Sony movies. You can have Spider-Man make cameos in the Venom, the Black Cat, the Silver Sable, the Sinister Six, whatever you want to do. And then they're like, well, what Sinister Six are they going to use? Because they got these villains in the MCU. It's like the Spider-Man stuff is not tied to the story. That's all it really is. Jessica Jones, Daredevil, all the Netflix, they're in the MCU, but since they're not tied to the story, they're pretty much non-existent, relationship. Same thing with the Spider-Man universe. They exist, they acknowledge it exists, but if they're not tied to the main Thanos story and all that, then for most part it's separate. So who really cares? So they could obviously do it that way, where he makes cameos and all that good stuff. Or if the deal expires and then they just say, okay, we boosted Spider-Man up so high, now let's move him into our MCU where he's with Venom and everybody else, and now we're just rolling. Or not MCU, but our Spider-Man universe. So it's a lot of moving parts, but I think we did get some big information, and it explains why Venom and all these other movies are being announced, because they're making plans for their own universe at Sony. And it makes sense. And will they stay with Marvel? We'll see. I think it's easy to write Spider-Man out. It's easy to ignore him going into the next phase, because after Infinity Wars, it's going to get crazy anyway. So I think, it's easy for Spider-Man to be like, okay, I'm riding off to the sunset. I'm going to do my own thing. And then the new Avengers, whatever, because we're probably going to lose Cap. Probably going to lose Iron Man. Probably going to lose Thor. So I think it'll be easy to write Spider-Man off. So we'll kind of see what they end up doing. But I got to sweep it because she's not in charge anymore. She's more of a producer. And she doesn't know what Sony is going to do. They could make another deal for another 5 movies. So I just sweep it that it's over already. We still got to wait and see. I think how Infinity Wars goes and how Homecoming goes, that's going to be the biggest telltale sign of if they will do it or not. But anyway, that's the news for today. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you thought. Like, thumbs up, subscribe. Check out the description. I'll have links to my DCU reboot, the different movies that I would do if I was in control of the DCU, and all that fun stuff. So that's the news for the day. And if you heard it here, it's official canon.